everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fourtress of, a podcast about movies, TV shows, video games, and lots of pop culture and nerd things. My name is Oscar. I'll be one of your hosts today, and with me per usual, it is Alex. He's here.
Holding it down for the crew.
Oh, absolutely. Known as the Brawn and the Dad. It's just me and Alex right now.
Let's
we
go.
might have a guest later. Who knows? But how you doing, man? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while.
You know, every time is a blessing. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's very.
I don't even know.
True.
I don't know where life and time has taken me. I feel like I only get a moment to reflect when I'm with you guys, so it's nice.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. And we use it to talk about movies and video games.
Fuck yeah, I love it. Let's go.
Short show today, probably. We'll see. Because not a lot of news happened this past week, which is fine. You know, nice little shortness is pretty good. Because as actively yawning Alex is right now.
Oh, yo, spring break has gotten the best of me.
Very tired. Very tired.
That's why there's not a lot of news. Everyone's spring breaking.
And like the temperature finally came over. It was like 80 degrees. And just walking outside, I'm like, whew. What happened to spring?
Spring break.
I needed spring.
Summer break.
It's just summer. It's winter and summer now. We lost spring forever.
Yeah, and it's also my bedtime. Clearly.
Yeah. So we're gonna get this show rolling. With first and foremost, listeners, if you want to skip spoilers or skip any section, check the time codes in the show notes down there. But with that, Alex, let's move into our first segment of the week.
News talk.
With our first piece of news. This one, a bit of a leftover from last week that we didn't talk about, but it's fine. We can talk about it. So, Alex, you know the game Palworld, aka
I have
Pokemon
heard
with guns.
many things about it.
Like when the first trailer popped out, we were like, "Oh, that game's gonna get like sued like to oblivion because it's just Pokemon with guns." And,
yeah, very, very clearly Pokemon with guns. Yeah,
and that didn't happen really. And we were like, "That's crazy, weird." But ironically, the the boss of Pocket Pair, which is the company that makes Palworld, is now accusing Chinese game companies of making Palworld clones, which I think is just what a world we live in.
That is definitely way more ironic than anything Alanis Morissette has been talking about. That's textbook right there. Like it doesn't get any better. Is this real? This is a joke. Like, is this real? This is real.
No, this is real. Like I it's just like how you gonna tell someone they copied you when your whole nickname was Pokemon with guns? Like what the hell are we talking about?
Yeah, even a lot of the monsters look like dude, like Pokemon monsters. It's like reimagined.
They put all of the actual Pokemon into like an AI computer and said spit out the same things with some tweaks.
I just want to have a conversation with the CEO and see it. Like, is he actually insane or is he just like out here having a good old time?
Yeah, I don't know, man. The privilege that just comes with that, like just being like, yeah, this is ours. How dare you?
This is a brand new original concept that we did all by ourselves. Also, where are these Palworld clones? Like, are they released in America?
I don't know either. I haven't heard of any of them. I would imagine they're all like weird mobile games. I bet.
I could see that.
Oh yeah, there's a game called Auroria, which is on it's on Steam as well as like mobile games. It's developed by a Chinese studio. Okay. And it looks like a Palworld where it's like you have little creatures that are help you build stuff, which is just like, yeah, you know, I get it, but it's just like, what, you know, that happens with, I feel like every genre. Do you know how many like every ad on every mobile game is for the same game but with a different name?
Yeah, it's true.
So I'm not surprised. Anything that makes money, there's gonna be a million clones of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's hundreds of like Zelda games that are
right.
Zelda clone games.
Absolutely.
There's even a whole genre of games that are like Dark Souls. So yeah, I mean, this isn't this is not a new concept. I never heard about another company suing a company for this ripping off, so to speak.
Yeah.
There must be. I don't know. There's got to be a line. I wonder what's going to happen. I know, like this obviously happens a lot in art, and in music and stuff. And there's like guidelines on how much you can borrow before it's blatant plagiarism. So I wonder what's going to be decided and what the line is going to be for the video industry.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're suing. I think he's just accusing them. via Twitter. Which is
okay.
that's what everyone does apparently now.
Yeah.
So I think they just, I don't know. It's just people loving to talk because they have to have an opinion about everything. But it's fine. Anyways, that's fun. That's fun. Next piece of news, but in order to do that, Alex, we have to hop to the trailer park. So let's do it. And Brian's not here, so it's just a banjo playing in the wind. Sadly, we miss you, Brian. We miss you, Brian.
Mom's Passetti.
Our one and only teaser trailer, in fact, for this week, Alex, is for Mufasa, the Lion King, which is the Lion King prequel origin story of Mufasa.
I did not see this one coming.
Did
you know
we knew this was coming? Oh yeah, no, we did, but I just kind of forgot because it was just like, why?
That's fair.
I guess they're like, we have all this technology, these CG lions,
we
just
have
lying
all these
around
lion
here,
assets just floating,
floating around, just wasting
in the cloud.
money. We gotta use these lions somehow, and so yeah. So look, I'll be honest. This could be one of those things that is so weird and off base that it could actually be good because it's not like like the reason the Lion King I didn't like it very much because it's just the Lion King but worse because it's just lifeless animals instead of fun cartoons. You know what I
mean? Actually, I couldn't agree more. I left this teaser trailer thinking like, okay, it's not going to be that amazing probably, but it honestly looks better than the Lion King live action.
It does
remake thing. Because watching the Lion King remake, I was really looking forward to a lot of the songs and stuff, and they just
they were disappointing.
They were really disappointing.
Yeah.
So
like when I heard like Childish Gambino and Beyonce, I was like, that's a pretty cool combo, and it just kind of was a letdown.
They really dropped the ball. So it'd be nice to see how potentially new songs come into play like that. Like new material can be less upsetting than having your hopes up with something like that
and
so well.
I don't know if we knew this. We might have, and I forgot. I don't know. But either way, I'm more excited now because I just see in this trailer that their new music is written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, interesting.
I know people have kind of gotten like sick of him, I think, because he's everywhere. But I refuse.
Did you look that? Is that in the trailer? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, at the very end, he's like the last credit, like after it says and Beyonce, Knowles Carter, and then also says original songs by.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, they should have opened with that probably.
Yeah.
I
think that's
I'm not gonna lie. I love Seth Rogen, but I got a little bit less interested when I saw he's in there. Wait, was he in the actual?
He was in Lion King. Yeah, he was Pumbaa.
Oh, that's right.
So I think that's the thing. It seems like and like Donald Glover and Beyonce are in this, so there's gonna be some past, present stuff. I think.
Okay.
Maybe Simba's telling the story, or maybe Simba's talking to Mufasa the Cloud. I don't know.
Yeah.
Spoilers. He dies. But yeah, it looks like there's another stampede because they got to do some kind of homage, I guess, for some reason. But whatever. But it looks fun. It could be fun. It could be fun.
Yeah, I don't have the worst expectations. I am curious to see. I didn't see Scar in the trailer. We know from the Lion King that they're brothers. Maybe that'd be interesting to see how their relationship, or maybe we do see Scar. I remember him not actually really look true Scar.
That's true.
So he's probably just like a light skinned version. I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, we see Simba running around with another little lion cub as a kid, so that could be Scar. Who knows? Maybe we'll see how Scar gets Scar's scar.
Oh shit! what was his name before Scar? It was just like
that's
Mufasa
true
too. It was just Joe Bob or something. Who knows?
Mufasa and Joe Bob.
Yeah. Like, nah, we're gonna call you Scar now.
That's so fucked up.
Because you have a scar.
Honestly, you know what? You're probably going to do that. They're probably going to explain that.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Maybe Mufasa gave Scar his scar. They got him a scrap. Who knows?
This conversation reminds me of another popular conversation on the internet about all these different lore-based things and tendencies being told, all these backstories being told that nobody asked about, like the Han Solo movie. As much as I love the Han Solo movie, like, and a lot of Star Wars in general, like we didn't ask for how the Force is made. We didn't ask for why Han Solo's name is Han Solo, but
we got it.
We got it. So I feel like it would be cool to see Scar and Mufasa running around, but I don't necessarily need to know why Scar's name is Scar.
No, it's always been a thing. Like Joker, they made a Joker origin story because people love to see how people become.
We can't avoid it. We're not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. We're gonna see how, like, I don't know. We're gonna get a prequel to Finding Nemo.
Why
does look, he's still here.
Why does Mickey Mouse have big ears? That's what we need to see next.
How did he get on that steamboat? Anyways, but yeah, look, this could be fun. And the music could be cool because it's different. It's something new, but also not new. So who knows? We'll see.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It might not be terrible.
Exactly.
I feel like it has to be better than the first remake. So
I think so.
Hopefully, there's that.
So. Yeah. Hopefully. But all right, that is the trailer park, which means that is the news, listeners. Which means, Alex, shall we now head into our main topic of the week? Which means we could do that now.
We shall. I'm actually gonna go.
Oh, okay, yeah. We're gonna say goodbye to you, and we might have someone step in, so I'm not talking.
Okay, I'm gonna tag somebody out. I'm gonna tag out and tag somebody in. I'll be back later. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Devin, hello, man.
Hello.
Devin, we are in another Fourtress this week.
Oscar-san.
Oh, no. Yes, listeners, this entire segment, you're going to have to look at we're going to have some subtitles. You're going to have to pull up your phone or whatever device you're listening to. And it's going to be radio silent for the next 45
Japanese
minutes.
From here on out.
Yeah. Yeah, listeners, because we're in another Fourtress this week. We're trapped. But this is a Fourtress. It's subtitles. Yeah, this one you actually have to pay attention to. You got to watch. You can't background this shit.
Cannot be on your phone. Cannot be on your phone.
No, I guess unless you're a native speaker. But if not, you cannot background this shit. You will get lost. But that's because we are in the Fortress of
Shōgun. Anjin-sama.
Oh yes, yes, listeners.
Damn. I was gonna try to say the name, but I forgot. I already forgot the name of the Lord.
Toranaga-sama. Yes, listeners, we are talking about Shōgun, the FX show and Hulu, I guess, that everyone has been talking about. Has been the talk of the town in terms of just a show that kind of came out of nowhere, and everyone kind of got enraptured by it, enraptured in this world and the production value and the acting and all the stuff. And people kept talking about it, and to a degree, I think the first time I heard about it was you, Devin, on the show, weeks and weeks ago. I was so tired of talking about the show, and finally got around to watching it. And we're in the Fortress of. Let's talk about it. Non-spoiler stuff. I will say, I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the show quite a bit. I watched it in probably like 3 days. I think I got through all 10 episodes. I think. It's obviously it's a very well made show. Like production wise, it is a very well made show. This is up there with like an HBO type of prestige TV type of thing. Very good acting across the board, phenomenal. I think everyone in it is fucking great. Shout out to fucking Hiroyuki Sanawa, who plays the lead Toranaga. You've seen him in everything. He's been in John Wick. He's been in 47 Ronin. He's been in the Wolverine. He's phenomenal. And he's phenomenal in this. Like, just non-spoiler. He's just great. He holds a fucking room. Any scene he's in, he is in charge of the room, and he commands a room, and and just impressive on a whole scale across the board, in the sense that the guts it took them to be like, you know what, we are going to do this show in Japanese. Like, that's it. Like, and people are gonna have to read. Like more than 50-50. It's probably like what I would say, like maybe like
More,
70-30.
Yeah,
Something like that.
definitely.
And people are just gonna have to deal with it if they want to join the show. They're just gonna have to deal with that. And what a move! And I think for a great one. Like it's so well done. It's so well done. I think shout out to Anna Sawe, I think her name is, who plays Mariko. She's great. She's great.
Yeah.
She's great. And then Cosmo Jarvis, who plays Anjin as I don't remember what his
John
right
Blackthorne.
Name is. What is it? Blackthorne. There you go. Yeah, like across the board, like just like so many different nuances from all these characters that are just very, very well done. So I enjoyed it. It's not a perfect show. It's not as perfect as I had hoped and wished it had been by the end. But I don't regret watching it, and I would still recommend it to people and say it's But I will say, I think what messed me up at the beginning, and luckily I kind of realized it as I watched it, was like, this isn't really Game of Thrones. And I think that those early on comparisons, like this is the new Game of Thrones, I was like, kind of might have messed with people's expectations a bit, because it's not quite that, really, you know?
Yeah.
It's Game of Thrones in the sense that it looks amazing, the acting's great, and it's very serious, but it's like it's not quite Game of Thrones. It's a little more intimate, I think, than Game of Thrones is at times, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I think this is still a phenomenally great show. But yeah, I loved it. So, but what about you, Devin? What you got?
And listen, if they want to do Game of Thrones, they literally could just rewind the clock, because this is based on real events. They could rewind the clock, I think, like 15, 20 years, maybe 30 years from the events of Shōgun, and you got Game of Thrones. Like,
right.
If you want to learn more about that, the Age of Samurai show on Netflix has all about the period right before this. And one of the characters that Shōgun is based off of is a character in that, or I mean, a historical figure. So I was shocked when I watched that, of like, holy shit, there's a lot of plot twists that happen in that. But yeah, like the daimyo, the Sengoku period is what it's called, where there's like all these different warlords around Japan with their different like fiefdoms, and it's Game of Thrones in real life, like, you know,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I feel the same way as you. Like, I really enjoyed it. Very high production value. Every scene so well written, well acted. Really gets you into the, you know, I just love I love a show like this where it can take real historical grounded things that, you know, are based in our real world and make a really good, compelling story from it, you know, and this was based on true events. Loose, obviously not 1-to-1, but like pretty loosely based on, like pretty closely based once you learn more about the actual history, like very, very close to how it really went down. But I just love this, like, this culture clash of, like, you know, you're in the shoes of this English person who's just landing in this alien world to them. And just kind of,
I know. At the first moment, he's like, "Oh, we're in the Japans." I was like,
the Japans. Yeah,
the Japans.
At one point, he said like Japanese. Like, I'll ask you in Japanese.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, you know, I loved it. I think if I hadn't known some of the history, that happened, I would have been really frustrated by the last episode. But I think knowing what actually happens, and kind of like, they kind of allude to it, what happens next. But if I hadn't known that, I think I would have been a lot more frustrated. But because they definitely dodged, you know, a moment that I really wanted. But
they dodged the Game of Throniness.
Yeah, but I mean, like, in a show about, that's my only critique, is that all of it is so well acted and everything. But in a show about samurai, there's precious little.
There's not a lot of samurai.
I think there's only maybe one scene where there's actually samurai in armor that fight, and it's over pretty quick.
Again, I think, like, for me,
like 2 or 3.
Yeah. Again, for me, like, what helped was at least for the last episode, before we get into spoilers, the last episode, the like sneak peek of like next week on the finale of Shōgun. Watching that, I was like, I don't think there's gonna be a battle. I don't think there's gonna be a war. Judging by this, I was like, there's not a lot of nothing here. So I think that helped my expectations. I was like, and then I looked at the time. I was like, yeah, there's about 20 minutes left. I don't think there's nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, there's not enough time. Where's it gonna come from? Yeah, that's my only critique. No big samurai battle. But you can go watch YouTube and see what happens in the battle that he mentioned.
And yeah, because I was also conflicted about that in the sense that like the one part of my brain was like, oh, I really wanted that. I really wanted to see that. But then the other part of my brain was like, the show never really promised you that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And so I can't really blame them because it was never there. It never was said that there would be a giant battle type of thing. It was just our expectations and the fact that everything else in the show was very small and intimate and it was all just very conversational. And so it's like to expect a giant battle, I think would have been against what the show has been about this whole time. And especially been against the Toranaga character of he always just said, I just want peace. I just want peace. So I as much as I want it, it's probably better for the show, even though I'm like, man, I really would love to have seen that.
And that's the thing, because he does say, so they use the name, like should we just say spoilers?
Yeah, let's get spoilers from there on, listeners. So if you haven't watched, get out of here, or read a book.
And like, I guess this is kind of starting in the final episode, but he does mention Sekigahara, which is where the real character that I guess he's based on, which is Tokugawa Ieyasu, who started the shogunate that lasted from the early 1600s all the way into like the Meiji Restoration. So he did unite Japan. He's one of the three great unifiers. Yep. But he did have to fight a battle to make that happen. And it's a very similar, I think the guy that he fought against is called, his name is Mitsunari, but I think his name was actually Ishido too. And he literally loses that battle because of certain lords kind of being lukewarm on him. And there's a Yabushige-like figure who kind of had his army sitting on the hill and like kind of not participating. So as the battle was joined, and well, sorry, I kind of did want to talk about the Battle of Sekigahara, but anyway, what happens was Tokugawa Ieyasu makes a big gamble in this battle, and he basically shoots on the neutral army, just one volley. It's like forces them to get involved one way or the other,
to
right?
Fight.
Because he wanted to know what they would do. And this army ends up joining him, and then they just run riot over the Regent army. Yeah. So
I think I did read that he supposedly, I think he killed maybe like 47 people in that battle or something like that. I can't remember. It could be some other battle. I can't remember.
Oh, himself, the Shogun?
I think so. I could be wrong. But yeah, I know. Like, and they like you said, they allude to it. There's a bit of a flash forward in that last episode when one of the best scenes in the movie where it's just all laid out, his whole plan and blah blah blah, and kind of like a very important moment in the show where it's like, and it makes you kind of want to go back and watch the show. It's like, oh, he's not really the best person in the world.
No.
He's kind of not, I wouldn't say a villain, because you still, obviously, I think you still kind of root for him, but like he's just as ambitious as anyone else. Like he wants it.
Definitely.
And it was I think it was done I think it was very well done in that scene between him and Yabushige right before Yabushige's seppuku, where he's just like, even Yabushige's like, wait, you're just like me, but you're better at it. Like I'm just trying to do the same thing, but I'm a moron.
Yeah. Oh, man, I feel bad for Yabushige, man. I liked him.
Look, okay.
He was a bad person, but
I think he's one of the best characters in the sense that I wanted him to stick around, but he is just a cockroach. He's just trying to survive, and every way he turns, he's like, oh, I'm going to another death. Everywhere I turn leads to death in a different way.
What was his line when he was talking about that? It was so, we laughed when he said it because it was so funny.
I don't know.
Like, what's the point of even doing this? We're just gonna die here. We go here, we die here. Like, but I love that about him because he was just trying to play the best cards that he could to kind of play both sides for a long time. But eventually,
and Toranaga knew the whole time. Like the fact that like at one point Yabushige knew that Toranaga knows like that he's a schemer, but he still does it anyways because he's just like whatever. And like I love that moment where he asked Toranaga at the end. He's like, so you do want to be the Shogun, that right? And then he's like, what's the point of telling a dead man the future?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
damn.
That was a cool
Cold
thing where he just laid out the whole plan.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
he's like,
he was just playing 4D chess the whole time. Everybody else is playing checkers.
Absolutely. And he like, I didn't think about this until I like went back in my notes and was like, oh fuck, like that was your first, like one of the first clues, like he is an asshole secretly, was when his wife comes with their new son. And him and his consort who birthed this child are like crying because the Toranaga's oldest son died most recently, and Toranaga's just like, oh well, I got another son.
Yeah, I got.
He literally is just like, I got another one. I'm like, oh, he really don't give a shit. He really doesn't give a fuck.
No, I mean, like, you kind of saw that a little bit when his oldest son, like in the episode where they were kind of like mourning his oldest son. He was just like, I mean, tragic, but also this buys me some time.
Oh, it's like, thank you for giving me time. Yeah. Because he bought him, what was it, like 49 or 59 days or whatever?
It's a long time. Listen, and that's one of the things about the show that makes it so cool. It's just the weird
I know.
cultural differences. Like just Japan at that time, and I guess maybe still, just very culturally different than what we're used to in the West. But like,
absolutely
regimented, structure. I'm like,
it's like the equivalent of like the Revolutionary War, when like the Americans just realize like, oh, we don't have to stand in these stupid ass lines and just wait for them to fire at each other. We can hide in the forest and in the trees and kill people and sneak attack and it's like that similar type of thing where it's like,
that's kind of why you feel bad for Yabushige, because like if he had been born, in like England or something, he probably would have done fine there. But
he probably would have. Honestly,
being stuck in this society where there's just all these rigid rules. I mean, it looks like you could be very easily have to kill yourself for a lot of reasons.
My God, for no reason whatsoever.
Like it is. I mean, dude,
it's like, sorry, I was late, Lord. Now I will die.
Yeah, if you're late, if you step on the carpet a little bit, that was episode 1.
Episode 1, homeboy just stood up and stepped on the carpet and interrupted, and now he has to kill himself and his infant child. Like,
if other people don't let you leave, you have to kill yourself.
It's crazy. Yeah, but I mean, that's.
I'm trying to think. If you get deposed, you have to kill yourself. Yeah. I guess if you get insulted or you insult someone else, you have to kill yourself. There's just a lot of rules for self-death.
It's amazing.
If you're a little stuck in water and you might, maybe need a life vest, just kill yourself.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing that any Japanese line continued.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
just wipe themselves out.
How is there anybody left at this point? Like,
honestly, yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, just like the heel turn of Toranaga in that whole scene, and how he just uses everyone. And when he's like, the engine was honestly just a distraction for my enemies. Like, I don't care. He literally was just a distraction, and it worked perfectly for me. And I'm like, damn, that's so fucking cold, man.
Yeah.
That, and like, even people he cares about, like, I would imagine he actually did care about Mariko, but he knew absolutely he was using her, and she did too. Like, she did, and it was one was a little better. Exactly. She had been wanting to die for the longest time, and so I think, but it's just like, he would throw anyone under the bus to help him in his plan.
Under the bus.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, with the whole thing with Mariko, do you think that she knew that she had to die for the plan to work, or could she have left and the plan would have worked anyway?
I think if she had left, the plan still would have worked, because either way, if she leaves, the hostages all else want to leave, and Ishido is still forced to let them go and not make them seem like they're in a prison. So I think she was going there with either option in her brain. I think she was like, this could work this way. Either way, this should work. It's us all depends on whether or not I die or not.
But I wonder if like her death is what really put Lady Ochiba over the, to like not commit the heirs, because that's kind of the turning point. Was like the heirs of the Taiko's armies were the biggest ones. So if he stays out, we're good.
I would have said yes, except for the poem. I honestly think her poem was also a huge turning point for Rashida, or Shiba, because obviously she continues later. But yeah, I mean,
see, but she wrote the poem because Mariko died. So.
It's true, yeah. So yeah, maybe. I mean, like that's the whole metaphor, is that like Crimson Sky, this whole plan that they talk about just fucking hightailing it to Osaka and just full on infiltrating it and all that war, which Toranaga knew it never would have worked. We would have been slaughtered. It never would have worked. But they did do Crimson Sky. It was just Mariko was the whole army. It was just one person. She was Crimson Sky. She infiltrated Osaka and did exactly what they needed to do in order to turn the tide of it.
Right.
That whole bit, I was just kind of upset. I was like, how you gonna have this big epic moment where she nearly is about to kill herself, and it doesn't happen, only to obliterate her not 5 minutes later. Just
that was a good plot twist, because I was like, oh, she's safe now. Like, she made it, you know.
And like, I wish I hadn't. Like, I kind of had a feeling and knew that she was gonna go, because when I was Wikipediaing just so I can spell the characters' names right, next to her character's name, it said like that historical figure that she's based on, and the year that she dies is 1600. I was like, well, she's probably gonna die this season then, because this is in 1600 right now. So odds are she's not gonna make it.
So she is based on a real character as well, a real person.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that I can't remember how that person died though. I don't think they exploded via ninja bomb. But yeah, she is. Yeah, that died in 1600. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, see, for me, I think she definitely wanted to go because she didn't need to jump up there by the door, but she did it.
Oh no, it
would make the plan go off, better.
Right, and like, her whole story of like she's been trying to find this relief in her life of one, this horrible marriage, but also of death, because one, her husband just refuses to let her die, and all she wants to do is die to rejoin her family. And this is what honestly killed me. It was so sad, and I didn't think about it for the while until I was like, oh wow. You forget that she is Christian. She's because this was obviously, we haven't really talked about the Portuguese influence of this, but this is a big time in history where because all of the English in the show is actually supposed to be Portuguese, basically.
Right.
So every English speaking character is actually speaking Portuguese in this movie, which it took me a couple of scenes in that first episode to realize. Because for a second I thought they were speaking Japanese, Portuguese, and English, but I was like, oh no, never mind. It's all just Portuguese. Okay. But yeah, so she is a Christian, and so obviously for her new Christian faith, her committing suicide is a mortal sin. She is fucking eternal damnation. She goes straight to hell. And so, but her willingness to still fucking do it based on her Japanese heritage, and also for Toranaga and for this plan to work, and also, and like, she's willing to do that regardless, was just like just a powerful and amazing scene. I think Anna killed it in that performance. I think she absolutely crushed that scene. There was tension. There was so much tension in that scene. I was like, oh my god.
We also looked up that she did that thing around her knees because that's what women would do when they seppuku, to so that it wouldn't be messy or whatever. So they just would lightly fall to the floor. It's like all these things that they did such a good job.
Literally, yeah, because it was much less likely for women to commit seppuku. And so, I did read that. Yeah, they literally would have to fall onto their heart, fall onto the dagger, and hopefully it would just hit their heart.
Yeah, I saw something
and they die.
They wanted to cut a good second, would only cut where your head wouldn't come all the way off.
Yeah, they basically slit your throat almost.
Yeah, and then but if you did, it would be unsightly. Okay, so there's one thing that my fiance was telling me. It's where somebody seconded somebody else and they cut their head off too violently, and they had to seppuku themselves because the head went across the room. So they're okay, well, that's disgraceful. So now I have to kill now somebody has to kill me, or I have to kill myself.
Oh my god, it's just a domino effect.
Me killing somebody else. And it's how is anybody left? How is anyone left?
That's insane. That's insane.
Like, can we add like jail time or something instead, or just like some, whipping? Can we just like add some whipping or something? Like why does it have to be just death?
It is off with your head. Off with your head.
It's also just such a tight. It just feels like not a fun society to be in at that time, because it was just like so tight. Like you got everything is about performing basically.
Bro,
from some
homeboy dies because he fucking touched a fucking bird.
Oh my god!
Old Gardner died. Like that was honestly like the saddest thing when that happened, because especially like just seeing Anjin's reaction of like how we're reacting right now, like, what is wrong with you people? Yeah. I said that, like, and it's in a society where you cannot say anything off the cuff. You cannot be. Yeah. You just can't. Everything is so literal, and you just can't. You can't joke. Like he literally just offhandedly goes, don't do it, or I'll kill you, or you'll die, or whatever. And oh my god, when that happened, I was so sad. I was like, oh god, so sad.
That was crazy.
But even that, you realize later, Toranaga uses that to his advantage, and he blames and makes Yabushige think that was the spy when it clearly wasn't. I was like, he's on everything, man. He's just on everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, he was never a step behind. Never one to miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I will say towards the end, because he's not in it as much towards those last couple episodes, I did miss seeing him a little more. Because there's that episode where obviously he leaves, and that's where his son, which we'll talk about his fuck up of a son in a second, where his son just ruins everything. He's not in that, and then he's not in like a couple of the episodes where he's like mourning and he's sickly and he's doing this cough, which is clearly, you realize, is just he's just baiting everyone.
All an act.
God, and to the point where he has to have his potentially best friend die in front of his eyes.
Necessary. That didn't seem like a necessary thing to me.
Yeah. Literally just to convince everyone that he was serious about this non-war stuff. Like that's
ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. You'd sacrifice your second in the command, one of the most important pieces, again, because he's like, I know what I got to do to win. I know what I have to do.
But like, I don't understand why he had to do that if he was going to send Mariko to like go take the bullet and like so that he could declare war on them anyway. Like,
I guess it's just
does your guy
further evidence. Yeah, it's crazy. And to have his son be the one to second, like, is crazy.
Oh god, that was terrible.
Yo, but he lays a dope ass line on his son, who the son is Bushido, who is Mariko's husband, who's Ubuntaro, yeah, thank you. Who this entire time has been refusing to let her die. He every time she asks, "Please let me die," and he refuses. And then the moment when he tells his father, "I'm gonna do it with you. I'll commit seppuku with you," and his father goes, "No, because now for once you are gonna know what it feels like to be declined." And it's like, ooh, even your daddy knows what you're doing to Mariko is fucked. Like even your dad.
Listen, like, and yes, like he did domestic violence to her, whatever. Like, he's not great, but when they did like the tea ceremony, and
that was heartbreaking.
She said the coldest thing to him.
I was sick.
That was insane, bro.
She said,
"So cold.
I would rather live 1,000 lives than fucking die with you."
Oh my god, bro!
I was like, "Yo, that's crazy." Because
like without batting an eye, like just completely deadpan.
Yeah,
like that was cold-blooded.
Because he's all like sitting there making his tea. This is real nice. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get in the good graces. I'm gonna do this favor." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna finally let you die, but with me." And nothing, just like nothing. And honestly, it's one of those things where it's like you're saying, like that show does such a good it does everything so well with like nuance, in the sense that I did feel bad for him in that moment.
Yeah.
Given knowing that he's kind of a shitty dude, but it's like they do a well job that no one is inherently just a fucking villain or just a fucking hero. Well, everyone is.
I think it speaks to like the tragedy of like kind of the roles that in the society, right? Like, I mean, obviously, beating your wife was probably like pretty standard at that time or whatever, but like
sadly
you could tell that he wanted to, and maybe in a different life maybe they could have worked out well, but probably not ever. But like,
right,
but still, like they're so constrained by these like duties and jobs and roles that they have to do that you can't even be open with your own spouse. You have to like have these like, she talked about the eightfold fence. Like she's never really showing her true self, even to her, to your husband, which, should be like the person that you're most, but, it's an arranged marriage kind of thing. It's like very formal, your husband isn't really your friend,
Right.
Like,
it's just all for,
that scene where they get drunk together and then he does the arrow shit. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Crazy. And the fact that he did hit the post, like at both times, like he did it. He fucking did it. He still did it. But like, and her just not flinching, not flinching, blackout drunk, arrow whizzing by her fucking face. Like, that was
the fact that she just sat there, but she probably would have been fine if she got shot in the head. She would have been like, cool.
She would have been like, yeah, I get to die.
Yay. God,
but she did. But like, okay, speaking of Mariko, loved her and Anjin. There was a part of me that wasn't 1,000% convinced of their romance. It seemed to me, at least from the early days, I was like, oh man, this foreigner showed up on the doorstep and she immediately is in love with him, like instantly, because as well as the show does it, it's still like, it doesn't feel like as much time as the has actually passed in that show. It feels like it's supposed to be like months have passed, I'm pretty sure. And it still doesn't quite feel that way all the time. Yeah. So their romance at times was a little shaky for me, but like by the end, like, and this should have been a clue to everyone that she was gonna die, was when they sleep together for the final time, and that's like a typical thing. It's like, oh, they get to be happy one last time right before her fucking demise,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
Yeah,
shit.
I don't know. I think she just found him intriguing. Like I bought it for me. Like, I bought the romance because I think she just found him intriguing because of his perspective of like, kind of his.
Well, he's different.
Yeah, like he just had a different take on like, everything that was going on. He's like, what the hell are you guys doing over here? Like,
right. And like, obviously it makes sense with her. Like she is inherently different based off her new Christian faith to most of the people around her, even though a lot of Japanese people were also Christian at the time as well. But, so yeah, I mean, it makes sense, yeah.
And, her dad being the outcast where, she knew, she knew that he had done the right thing, but at the cost of like his clan. But that was, they had done something that took a lot of integrity, but it caused family tragedy for her. So
yeah. So talk about her death. Her death was insane. Cool shout out to ninjas. Some shinobi showing up. That was pretty cool.
Multiple times. It's like it seems like it's very easy to hire some assassins.
I know, right?
They're just waiting in the wings. Like, how much money y'all got? Okay, we'll come in here, and kill a bunch of civilians.
But we'll pivot to a character by starting with this. The scene where Anjin and Fuji pour out her respective family's ashes and he puts her cross in the water was a very touching scene. That was a really good scene.
Absolutely.
Fuji is one of my favorite characters, man. I loved Fuji.
Yeah. Ooh, when she like pointed the gun at the other guy. That was cool.
Oh God.
I think that means, so those little flashbacks he was having in the last episode, I think that means that he's never, that was an imagination of like what his future could be, because he had the cross in that vision.
Yep.
Right? Yep. But then he says, and the real guy, I think his name is William Adams. He never left. He never
left Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I mean, he became like a lord in Japan. Like, why would you go back to England? But
right.
But so I thought that was really clever of like, you think it's a flashback. And then in the moment where he was going to kill himself, I'm like, oh, like, wait, is this like maybe an imagination? Because he maybe isn't going to die right here. And then, okay, so he lives. Okay, maybe he's still going to go. And then later when Toranaga's like, yeah, I don't think he's ever going to leave.
I don't think he's ever leaving Japan.
The cross. So
yeah.
I definitely agree. Indication that Fuji would maybe be his wife?
No, Fuji's going to go be a nun. I think she actually is going to go be a nun. Yeah.
Because historically, he did take on a wife, even though like a new wife and a new family.
He did.
Even though he had an existing family back in England.
Which is insane. It's crazy.
He's like, nah, it's okay. I'm not going back there. I do like is also how they justify in the show, like, because like, oh, Buntara's awful. And then she's like, well, what about your family, Engine? And he's like, well, I'm a deadbeat dad. It's fine. Like I'm no good for them anyway. And then us as the audience is like, oh, see, it's fine. Like
they could be together. It's totally fine. It's totally great. He hasn't even seen his newborn son or daughter or whatever. Yeah.
Morally, I'm not conflicted. Fuck.
Oh, and especially like, I don't know about you, but I definitely pinged it early on that Buntaro was not dead in that when they escape. I was like, you don't see a body, he is not dead. So which is funny, as soon as he quote unquote dies, that's when Anjin and Mariko first hook up. And then like this next scene, they're like, oh look, your husband's back. He's arrived. He's not dead at all, is he?
Man, her reaction when they announced that he was coming back was just so like, oh. Damn it! Like,
oh, that sucks. I was really hoping to fuck this white boy for a good period of time.
Yeah, I do like that morning after too, of like after she hooked up with him, and they're just kind of sitting there having tea, and Fuji's like, "Hey, how was the consort last night?" And Mariko's, "Yes, the consort." Like they both were in on it for sure.
Oh yeah, Fuji's a real one. Fuji knows how to keep them secrets, man. Fuji's great. I loved her. I mean, tragic, horrible, like having to deal with. And like infant child and
like
husband
again,
dying.
Her husband had to kill himself, and had to end his line.
He couldn't have just said, "How about I'll kill myself?" Carpet. Yeah, like
that's crazy.
It's crazy. How did anyone survive? It's crazy.
I don't understand. Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Fuji. She was great. She was definitely one of my faves. I loved her.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Anjin, the quote unquote second protagonist, whatever. I don't know. Third maybe after Mariko. Who knows? I thought he was actually really good. I mean, like, great performance. I really enjoyed, because this is one thing I did I accepted and believed, like how he did slowly start to learn Japanese, and by the end he was pretty good on his own. Like not 100% fluent, but like he could manage a conversation with like Fuji and whatever, or Toranaga and stuff like that. So clearly it was showing him like getting into this culture and not just being like, fuck this, fuck that, I don't care about any of these people or anything like that.
Yeah.
But obsessed with death and not trying to die. He was just like anything to get away from that. He's like, especially after when they first get there, and one of the most gruesome deaths that we see and I've seen in a while was fucking getting put in fucking soup, being turned into fucking human soup.
It seems so weird that they did that.
What like, the later, fuck, man?
It just seems like such a random thing that they did that, because like later they treated them with respect, and they like, I don't know.
I think it's just Yabushige. I think it's Yabushige was a weird guy that was obsessed with death, which is why like he literally asked Toranaga before he dies. He's like, please, can you just like throw me into the river or drown me or boil me or anything? I don't just this traditional death. I don't want to experience it. It's like, you're a freak, Yabushige.
Do something cool. And he's just like, nah.
Man. Well, yeah, I mean, like I was surprised that like by the end, he doesn't leave. He's still there. Yeah. Toranaga's the one who burned his ship. I mean, he's like, yeah.
I think you saw how far he had come when, at first, like he didn't even want to take a bath and stuff, and then like later when he meets up with the rest, what's left of his crew, like 6 people. Yeah. He's like, God, what does that smell like?
And they're like, what are you wearing? And he's like, yeah, he's in a different world now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of shows you that he's probably going to stay. It sucks for his crew though. Like in real life,
it does.
I watched something about I think it's William Adams. I'm pretty sure it was his real name, and he like was determined to be like the first Englishman to like make it that far. And like the whole crew, like they started out with like 5 ships, ended up with just 1 that made it to Japan.
I think Japans. What was it like 6 of them? I think survived in total. I think at the end, maybe I can't remember.
Yeah. But like the crew definitely did not sign up for like what they were, the extent. I mean, it was like a 2-year voyage kind of thing. But it did set the stage. Like in real life, he was really what set the stage for. I think history would have been a lot different if that English expedition had not made it to Japan, because basically in real life, like the guy that became Shōgun, right? Toranaga, which is actually Tokugawa Ieyasu, he didn't like really the Portuguese. And so once they established that connection with the Dutch didn't really care about religion. They were very secular. So having that connection to trade with the Dutch allowed Ieyasu to be like, all right, we're kicking the Portuguese out of Japan completely, and we're getting rid of the Christians. And that's what they do in the early 1600s. Like, and that's why eventually the Dutch are like on that one island where they can trade, but he keeps the relationship with them. And that's the only connection they have until the Americans come in the 1800s and, you know, force them to start trading. So very, very influential in history, because you wonder, you know, I wonder what happens. I wonder how World War II goes and stuff if Japan is like a mostly Christian nation and the Portuguese stayed there the whole time.
Right.
History might be much different.
It's kind of crazy to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Christian and Toranaga's relationship with them, I love how he's like, yeah, y'all can build a church in Edo. That's fine. And he puts the plot right next to where he gives the woman the plot for the brothel like guild. And it's like, oh, that's the best. That's the best thing in the world.
Well, was that kind of like the start of like the geisha? Is that kind of like what that was alluding to?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like
she's like
geisha, like tea
we're
houses.
Hookers, yes, or we're whores, but we're gonna be classy whores.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I believe that's how that's alluding to start there. Because Edo eventually becomes Tokyo, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the city of Edo becomes Tokyo eventually. Which is that's how it slowly becomes the biggest city in the fucking country. But yeah, no, I love that little dig. It was just hilarious. Oh, I gotta point out, man. You might know, so you tell me. You're the history buff. What is the deal with the haircuts?
Man, I don't know. Yeah, the whole shaved.
Also,
right
I was like, what?
Thing.
What is with the shaved? It's either just the top of your head is shaved and you got hair around it like a halo, or you got the cul-de-sac, and I'm just like, why?
Yeah,
I just want to know.
I did not love it, but I think it's just what they did. But I think that I wonder if there was like a braid thing with them, because you know how like some cultures it's like you can never cut your hair and it's like a dishonor thing. I think that might be them. But you know, did you realize like some of the hats had like a kind of spot for like the buns on the top of the back of their heads?
Yeah.
A lot of their hats had like a little opening for that. So, but that
interesting.
The bald on the top is not, man. We ain't about.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing they moved out. They moved past that, I think.
Yeah, it's only slightly cooler than like medieval monks.
I was about to say, in my head, that if that's like a nobility thing, that's like the equivalent of the powdered wig. It's just not a good look.
Yeah, bad look. We don't love that.
Shit, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, obviously, I gotta shout out fucking Rodriguez. He was one of the highlight characters for me.
Oh,
homeboy, that's just him and Anjin going back and forth, just like, I love that dude. That's dude from Lost.
It was the mayor from Batman.
And for Batman, yeah.
I was like, what? You had that Portuguese.
He was fantastic.
I was sad
not to see. Yeah.
I like that a lot, yeah.
No, he was great. I mean, like, one of the highlights for the scenes that he's in is that it's one of the most tense moments, but it's like, it's so simple, and it's him escaping the bay, and just like, it's literally just two ships in the night going forward, and it's like one of the most tense scenes in the whole show. But crazy. It's so well done. It's so well done, man. It's just, man, the show really knows how to fucking do it, man.
Yeah, agreed.
Shit, I'm trying to think if there's much else to talk about. I mean, there's obviously so much to talk about. We don't have enough time for all of it, though. Like,
I think, like, really quickly, I thought the Council of Regents, I just loved.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, it just fits into, like, what I already said about, like, Japan being so weird about, like, rules and things like that. But, like, the fact that like they have these really weird, I mean, it just seems like a really bad way to run a government, right? Like, but that's kind of what it was. Like, the guy that before Ieyasu was, oh God, I forget. It starts with an H. But anyway, it was his son that he set up this like regent system in real life, where he had like 5 regents who would like balance each other out, and then hopefully his son would, you know, So the taiko in the show is what it was called. But like,
right,
this weird system of like, if any one of the regents does something that's dishonorable, then they have to kill themselves. And like, oh, but you have to stay at Osaka Castle, but you can leave under these circumstances. There's like very regimented things they have to do. It's like, oh, we have to try the engine first before we can vote about this. It's like what
that, and then the whole thing was like, oh, Toranaga resigned, so there's only 4 of us, and there needs to be 5, so we have to find a 5th member now in order to vote. And it's just
we can't kill
all
Toranaga
of these ridiculous
member. Yeah, like we can't. The 4 of us can't just vote. No.
Toranaga's just playing these people like a fiddle, dog. Like just like the dumbest shit. Because it's almost like he's like, yeah, I know these rules are dumb, but I know they still have to fucking obey them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm gonna abuse the shit out of it.
Toranaga, we're doing exactly what Toranaga wants us to do. Like,
oh my god, I know. And it's a little sad, like especially for the Ishido character, because the whole point of him is that he was like a peasant, he was a nobody, and he's just trying to climb up these ranks. And in this world, we don't give a fuck about these peasants.
No, man.
We don't think they're not honorable. We don't give a shit about them. They're not royal, so fuck them.
That's one of the big like tragedies, I think. Yeah, it's like the peasant class is just completely, we don't give a fuck. Like, it's
like a little sad because like usually it's like the other way around. It's like this person rising from nothing. Yeah. That's an accomplishment, but nope. No, for this, it's like, nah, you're nothing to us.
Blood.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually the guy that, man, what is his name? Hideyoshi. The guy that was, so there were 3 guys, right? Oda Nobunaga's the one that kind of starts it off. And then these 2 guys rise up under him, which is Ieyasu and Hideyoshi. So Hideyoshi takes over after Oda Nobunaga dies. And then he was a peasant who came up from nothing. But the thing with Hideyoshi is he like closed the door behind him. So like the forces that like allowed him to rise to the rank, like rise up, he like does not want other peasants following him, so he like slammed the door shut behind him and became like kind of a tyrant a little bit, which kind of sucks. But he's the one that kind of set up this regent system for his son.
Okay,
but that's why it's important to mention it, because he basically had control of all Japan at one point, but they would not give him the title of shogun because he didn't have like the nobility lineage. And that's why, like, Ieyasu could become shogun because he had like a noble name. So, kind of sucks.
Yeah, no, that does.
Yeah, that show's worth watching, man, on Netflix. Age of Samurai. If you ever get the,
I might have to check it out because I really enjoyed this, and like it was like that's the other thing about the show that few shows can do is that it made me so interested in the history as well. Mm-hmm. Like it's so compelling. Not just the characters in the show, but like learning about this. It's like it's like the those really old like the educational. It's like educational television. That shit's like usually really, really boring and then blah blah blah. This is just that, but like with millions of dollars of a budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, no, like I think that did such a phenomenal job of kind of explaining everything and
yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's so well done. But like it's speaking of history, one of those funny things that happened in the show that I was like, oh yeah, this is in that era where people didn't know shit. Anton doesn't know what a fucking earthquake is.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't know what an earthquake is, which is like, yeah, why would he?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But that earthquake was
like never gone through one. That was crazy.
Yeah. That earthquake is crazy.
And Mariko kind of used that moment to explain to him, like, yeah, that's why we have a lot of death around us.
Our houses,
it's always here.
That and how they explain our houses are built to be built very quickly because we know they will come down in a second.
Yeah.
So we don't waste our time building these houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love they really nailed that, like, Japan feeling like an alien world, like to this.
Which is funny because they filmed all this in Canada, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's hilarious. I was wondering, I was like, man, is Japan kind of like dreary, kind of like the UK a lot? Like, and it might be, I don't know.
But okay, real quick, we gotta just very briefly mention Toranaga's idiotic son. Why are kids of like nobility always just the biggest idiots?
Yeah.
The dumb shit idiots.
Really dumb. But to be fair, like, well, I don't know. I mean, the scene where he like did the artillery on
that was
those
crazy.
like emissaries. I mean, that was like the most actual samurai action we saw. But like, whew.
Yeah.
But then
that was nuts.
But the thing is, man, like later though, when he dies, I was with him though, because like that was so lame how they were just gonna like surrender like that.
Okay, I have a question for you about that. Do you
Hmm.
think that was the son doing that on his own, or do you think Toranaga sent him to do that?
That's a good question.
Because they never explain it. They never say anything.
Well,
or is it a thing that Toranaga probably knew he was going to do that based off?
I think he knew that he was going to do it, but I think he had talked to Yabushige's Omi, I think his nephew. I think he talked to him about it, of like, we can't just sit here and do nothing. But I don't know, like they never had a scene telegraphing it with Toranaga talking to his son, other than Toranaga being like, you're young and stupid. Like, why is it, why is it always people who have never fought in a battle that want to always have a battle?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't
think like, did he think he was going to die?
Huh?
Like, obviously he needed his death to buy him time, but did he think he was going to die?
I don't know. Because that's the thing. Like, without his death, he wouldn't have been able to go back to Edo, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. So, like,
they wanted to take him straight to Osaka Castle and off him. So I don't. He needed him to die.
Yeah. Or did like maybe he was like, if even if he's successful in maybe killing my half brother, which for a second I was like, is the half brother in on this? Is this this whole awkward dinner like part of the plan? But I don't think it was. I think his brother was literally just a shithead.
Yeah. He was not. He was so impolite too. You could see the people around the table like, oh my god, he's so rude. This guy's such a rude guy.
Which I was upset about, because when he first showed up, I was like, oh, this dude's cool. He's fun. He don't give a shit. And then I was like, oh, this dude sucks.
Never mind. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he. Man, I don't know. I don't like. Toranaga,
it's interesting.
Maybe he like put the pieces in, together. To like, I could see him very much like having his own son do that. But here's the thing: his son could have been successful, and then what? Then you're just an open.
That's
war.
what I'm saying. Exactly. That's what. Yeah. Again, it might just be a thing where like you were saying, he puts the pieces there, knowing most likely it's like a percentage game that his son is going to do this, and in the process, absolutely fuck it up.
Probably, yeah. But I mean, I think like even if he had been successful in killing the brother, I think that would have been bad too, because then that army would probably attack or something. So I don't know. It just to me, I think it was just really convenient for him. And I mean, do you think there was a moment where he actually did give up, like when they surrendered? Was that authentic? Like maybe it was for a minute. Maybe he was just like, okay, I got outplayed. But then the death of his son gave him an opening. And
now he's like, oh wait, now I got yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to think about. Yeah, post that last episode. Yeah. Yeah, I just wrote the Council of Regents are a bunch of fucking Muppets.
Yeah. That's the only bad thing in the show was like that one that had like leprosy. That didn't look good at all. It just looked like real goofy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think that's kind of that's all the major things. I think I'm trying to briefly go through this, but I think that's pretty much it, man. Like, what a great show. Not perfect, but definitely a watch. I would definitely tell people to watch the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm not like furious that there was no battle. Like, it would have been cool to see one, but I'm not been out of shape about it. But it would have been, just would have been really cool to have one payoff.
I just wanted to see Toranaga kick some ass once, but I get it. It's not. That wasn't him that wasn't his deal. His deal was all about the mind games,
Right. And I think they're making a change in that, like in the show, it seems so. In real life, Sekigahara was like a huge battle, right? Like in Japanese history. But I think in the show, I don't know how it is in the book, and I'm very curious about the book now. But in the show, it seems like he's basically going to win that battle without firing a shot, right? Like basically, it looks like those armies are just going to stand off, and then he's just going to win the day without them even fighting. So in that sense, it's even more okay with them to not give us that there was because it was exactly battle anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I just think I could have used more of like I think the skirmish scene where they're trying to leave the castle and those samurai that are around Mariko, like the fully armored samurai just cuts down 2 guys like immediately,
Oh
and then they
yeah,
all
yeah,
just
yeah.
like join in battle. Like that was what I wanted more of, like just for a moment, because
Mhm.
like in that fully armored samurai armor, they looked so cool, and it
They
was
look
so
sick.
brutally
Yeah,
quick. Like
yeah.
most of those guys, like just like 1 or 2 slashes and they're dead.
Done.
Like,
Yep.
you know, one
Yeah.
way or the other. So I just wanted a little bit. I guess the ambush scenes kind of had a little bit of that, but like I don't
Yeah.
know. I would have liked to see like one battle, maybe one little skirmish between like samurai v samurai,
Yeah.
you know, just clashing. I think that would have been nice.
Yeah. Would have been cool. Would have been cool.
Just would have really been cool to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. My last little piece of behind the scenes stuff that I had seen was that the author of the book Shōgun that show is based off, James Clavell, I believe is his name. I didn't know this, but his daughter was raised in the Canadian Bay where Anjin and Fuji have that scene in the final episode.
Oh, really?
And apparently, because yeah, that's where she was raised in Canada. That is also where they laid her father, the author's ashes, are in that bay as
No
well.
way.
So it's a
That's
weird full circle
crazy.
moment there. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So, kind of wild shit. Yeah.
That is really cool. I love thank like I'm thankful for people like this author who just like reads a history book and just learned about this story about this guy named William Adams, and it's just like I'm just gonna put this in a book and call it nonfiction.
And just change the names up.
Or,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, call it fiction and just change some names, whatever. And it's like basically like almost verbatim a real story. And
right.
like,
Right.
I just love when people find, you know, because the more I learn about history, there's all kinds of things that they should turn into movies that they don't for whatever reason.
Right.
And there's like,
I mean, yeah,
real history is so compelling and there's so many great stories in it. And like,
yeah.
I don't know. So I just love.
I mean, I remember you telling us, what was that one battle where it was like 12 dudes defending a castle or some shit?
Yeah, the Battle of Castle Aitor. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of
and
World
like
War II.
that sounded amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's true. You're not wrong.
I mean, but every time I like go, you know, learn some more stuff about in history, like I'm reading a book on like the Plantagenets right now, and there's like, you know, you could make all kinds of movies just on the minutia of stuff that like the drama that happens, you know, and that kind of stuff. Like I mean, Game of Thrones, like the Wars of the Roses, the real life Wars of the Roses were super compelling. Like, and that was like, and that's basically Game of Thrones. It's what Game of Thrones is based on. So I don't know, but I'm so appreciative too of, you know, Shōgun and just shows like this where they take just like real world Earth, you know, history, like historical fiction, right? And it's just like, but in this case, it's like literally just telling the story of this guy's life.
Yeah. And I would also like shout out like the showrunners of this show. And in terms of adapting, because I did hear a little bit about how like the book is very much more what's his name? Blackthorn? Blackwood? It's very much he's more like the main protagonist of the book, and Toranaga is more of like a side character. And so I appreciate them switching that up a bit and leaning this more towards Toranaga and the Japanese culture of it all. Because obviously the book was written in fucking 70s by some white guy that wrote this. So yeah, he wrote the white guy as the lead in this book.
Like, I mean, I mean that is great, but it's funny because it's like this is maybe the most accurate time in history where it is a white guy. Like
I know,
you know his story is like the most compelling thing. But yeah, like no, I definitely agree as well. Like I think you know I really liked that they kept it in Japanese and like you know really were intent to try to show you Japanese culture, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, and look, and like if this propels more Japanese actors to be in like mainstream media, at least Western media stuff, that's awesome. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Cool as shit. Great show. Yeah. I love it. I kind of do hope that they don't try to make a season 2. I kind of hope that this is just a one-off and and this will be it. I don't want them to try to milk this.
Just rewind the clock. If we want to get the show, if you actually want to get Japanese Game of Thrones, just rewind the clock, I think 15, 20 years. And let's just do Sengoku period. And like you could have a fantastic show on just the Sengoku period and Oda Nobunaga.
Yeah.
And because there's a whole nother part of the story that we didn't even talk about. And that's another thing of like that Age of Samurai show on Netflix. They didn't even mention this guy at all. I had no idea he existed until Shōgun came out and then started reading history. So they do the whole story of like Ieyasu and stuff without even mentioning that this guy came in there. And they also don't mention Yasuke, the black samurai in history, who was like under Oda Nobunaga, showed up with the Portuguese, was like, as like a slave or whatever. And then like Oda Nobunaga saw him. He's like, this guy's awesome. I want to have him work for me. And he just like became a samurai. And like they didn't even mention this stuff, but like there's things that happen in history that we tell stories of already. So there's just so much there. If they wanted to do a Sengoku period show, they should definitely
sick.
do it.
That would be sick as shit. Hell yeah, that would be sick as shit. They'd have to keep up the production like this though. They'd have to keep it going, man. Yeah,
absolutely.
But that's Shōgun, listeners. Check it out. I'm a big fan. Devin, do you think you're gonna read the book?
Yeah, I might.
Yeah. Might pick it up.
I think I'm just curious what the differences would be, because it seems like between history and the show and the book, I wonder.
Right. Yeah.
Where the differences are.
Mm-hmm.
So
very interesting. But yeah, check it out, listeners. It's a good show. It's a great show. I would definitely watch it. Devin, that is it. Shall we now move into our final segment of the week?
Let's do it.
Which we like to call Free for All. Title pending. This is a segment of listeners. We kind of do whatever we want. Talk about our day, talk about our life, fight, rant. It is free for all. But wait, we once again have a tag team back in here. Alex is back in the show.
I'm back.
He's here once again.
I'm back in. I haven't seen Shōgun, so I wanted to disappear for a little bit.
Yeah,
but now I'm back.
You watched exactly 12 minutes.
Okay, we'll start talking in English again for this part.
Yeah,
that's good. I don't have time to read at the moment, but hopefully soon. I do want to check out the show. It looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listeners. I can quickly go first with my free for all. I forgot and didn't really do much because I was just watching Shōgun in preparation for this, and also just being ill and under the weather. But I guess I could talk about. I did have an update number 7 to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm in chasing the platinum mode now. I'm trying to.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I'm pretty close. The last thing I need, I have one trophy left in the whole game, and that is just to beat the whole game in hard mode, which I hear is actually harder than Remake, because I thought Remake's hard mode wasn't super difficult. But I think I'll be able to manage this one, and it'll be much shorter than 150 hours or whatever, because once you beat the game, you can obviously you can skip stuff, and you don't have to do all the side quests anymore and type of thing. So just kind of mainlining it will be interesting. But I have to complain because some of these like legendary super hard combat simulator challenges were just a pain in the ass.
Oh man,
such a pain in the ass. And I have no shame in saying I Googled and YouTubed the fuck out of them, and I beat them. I don't care. I did it. I used my hands and my fingers, and it's still a pain in the ass to do some of them. But they're done, and I never have to think about them ever again, and that's the best part of doing them. It's like a Dark Souls boss. It's like once you beat a Dark Souls boss, you're like, I never have to do that ever again for the rest of my life.
So wait, did you platinum it, or are you still trying to?
Not yet. I still just need to beat it on hard mode. Yeah, still chugging away. But that's the last thing I have to do is beat it on hard mode, and that's it. I'm missing one trophy, and everything else has been completed. And look, it's actually been fun still. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there were times where I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this one. I don't want to sit here and fucking grind at this challenge and try to beat it. But I did it, and it wasn't as long as I saw other people complaining on YouTube about that. It took them like 3 days. Where I was like, okay, that took me like a couple hours, so it could be worse. So it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But it's a benefit that the game's combat is just so fun. It's just so fun to play. It's such a good game and fun to play. So yeah, that's all I've really been doing other than watching Shōgun. I didn't get a chance to watch Knuckles. I think I'll probably watch Knuckles this week. I think Brian wants to talk about it, and I don't think Brian's watched it yet either. So maybe that's what we'll talk about next week. Who knows?
Wait, what is Knuckles?
But I'll watch Knuckles. It's the Knuckles spinoff show on Paramount Plus. They made a Knuckles
Sonic?
TV show.
Yeah. Wow. Just Knuckles?
It's,
is it Idris Elba?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Idris Elba.
What the hell?
6 episodes. They all came out, I think, like last Friday or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's only I'm happy because when I looked it up to see how long the episodes were, they're only like 30 minutes tops. So it's like basically a 2.5, 3 hour Knuckles movie basically.
That's
so
so
I was like,
cool.
That's way better than I thought it was gonna be. If it was a 6-hour Knuckles show, I don't know. I don't know if I could do 6 hours of just a Knuckles TV show, but I could do like 2 or 3 hours.
HBO.
Right. Yeah. So I'll check that out at some point. But yeah, and as usual, just X-Men 97 is just clicking on all cylinders. Fucking clicking.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to watch more. Can't wait to watch more.
Dude.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that still too.
Alex, definitely put some time into that. That is well worth
I'm not gonna lie to Alex. If I had to say pick one, that or Shōgun, I X-Men. I'm sorry, but
like honestly,
dude,
I'd watch X-Men.
It's got nostalgia backing it up too, so that's a heavy hitter.
And it's shorter. And it's shorter.
I like that. You know,
and I think they, I mean, not to derail it, but like they definitely did the right thing with like the level, like, you know,
they're going hard. Yeah,
there's some good dark themes in there, and some just I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, it's killer. It's killer. But yeah, and then shout out to God of War Ragnarok. That's me for sure.
All right. All right, I'll go next. I did watch a bit of a new show last night, actually. This random show just popped up on our feed, and we were both just like, fuck it, let's just check it out. Let's just go for it. And it's it's called Baby Reindeer. It's on Netflix. Have you guys heard of this?
No, I've heard about this.
Yeah. We only watched one episode, but it's got its clutches in me, and we were talking about it earlier today, and are excited to check it out more. It's like a mini series. I think it's only 4, maybe 6 episodes, about 40 to 60 minutes per episode. But it's like this comedy drama. It's like a dark drama, but it has a lot of jokes and undertone comedic aspects to it, which is like, you're not sure if you should be laughing. It's really uncomfortable, but you can't help but snicker. This bartender who has like a lot of witty charm about him, just, you know, doing his thing, and this intricate woman walks in, and they just strike a conversation with each other, and she's just in the bar every day after day, all day long, and she's like presumably lying about her profession as like a really famous lawyer, and all these people that she knows, and all this like assets that she owns, but she doesn't seem very well off. So it's just very, very curious right from the start of like, who is this lady and why is she so invested? And she's like really invested in this bartender. Like she's like infatuated with him. And he's just like a nice guy who's like, you know, I'll entertain this conversation because she's like also like really good at making conversation. So it's just, you can't, it's hard not to be engaged by what you're watching. Mm-hmm. And then as shit goes down, you find out that she's got like a bit of a seedy past. And I don't know, you kind of can gather pretty quickly, so it's not much of a spoiler, that she's a bit of a stalker. She has a history of stalking. And by the end of the first episode, he's left wondering, should he avoid this stalker, or should he like dive deeper into her clutches?
Oh,
interesting.
Because I think he's curious too. He's like, well, what is this lady all about?
So it's kind of like mystery, but like comedic thriller kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think also maybe like a, you know, it's just the first episode, but it's like a nice conversational piece about psychology, because it's like he's aware that this person isn't a good person, and yet he can't stop himself from engaging with this person because it makes him feel good to be flattered and be complimented. You know.
Oh, that's
So it's a weird show, and it gets kind of deep without really saying that much. And again, we just watched the first episode, but it was.
Is it true
that I don't know if it's based on a true story. It all happened. The intro credits happened really quickly. I wouldn't be surprised. If it said based on a true story, I just don't know. I didn't pay attention enough in the beginning to see if it said based on a true story, but it might have.
I heard that, and you'll have to check it and see when you guys watch the second episode, that not only is it based off a true story, that the dude is the dude that it happened. Like he's playing himself. Yeah.
Whoa. Oh,
shit.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that is what I heard. I haven't looked into it as much.
That would make sense though, because if it is an actor, they get those people that follow them, like stalk them and stuff.
I would be scared.
That sounds horrifying.
I would be scared to not
relive that.
Not only tell that story to somebody else and agree to make that televised, but to play that person.
Yeah,
I would be scared for my safety at that point.
It's kind of like
that's crazy.
That movie that Eliza, I can never get her last name, but that stand-up comedian, her name is like Eliza Schlesinger, something like that.
Oh yeah,
the slasher.
But she was dating this guy who was like a complete con artist, and she made a movie about it later. And the movie, they marketed it as like kind of like a rom-com kind of thing, but it was actually a cautionary tale, like a true thing that had happened to her. She was dating this guy who like had put up all these lies for like I don't know how many.
That's terrifying.
How long she was dating him, but yeah, it's interesting that But I think it tracks. I would like to know for sure if that's true. Because, but yeah, I mean, they definitely like. I think I saw a headline the other day of like Harry Styles had like to like I don't know, do something to like a restraining order or something like that to this like some stalker was sending him like letters like every day, like to his house or something. So, celebrities, man, just a really hard life to live.
Poor celebrities. Yeah,
that's cool though. Maybe we might check that out. I feel like that's something we made.
It was cool. And this guy wasn't a celebrity. He was just a normal bartender who was giving a person the time of day. So yeah, it was very intriguing.
Interesting.
I'm excited to watch more, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess I can quickly go, boys. I don't think I mentioned this, but last weekend we saw Civil War, the movie. The new A24, the big budget A24 movie.
Yeah, how was that?
It was good. I think it might not be what people are expecting, but I guess that's probably what we should know going with an A24 movie. But I think it definitely steered around any kind of like controversy. Like it didn't really pick sides of like, like it's very.
I hear it's actually not that political.
It's not that political. That's right. Like it's kind of vague. That's kind of what it didn't give me what I wanted, which was like, okay, because in the trailer,
the world is fucked.
Yeah, like, well, in the trailer, they call it the California, Texas alliance. I'm like, how the fuck are those two going to team up? But like, it does make sense in the context of the movie, but they don't really get into like, the nitty gritty of like who's fighting who and like what's going on. It's more of just like, oh, people are fighting, like, and it's trying to tell you more about like the experience of like going through that, I guess. And it's more of a critique on like journalism, just like war journalism. It's more of it's like a war journalism story, really.
Wow.
But it's good. Like I would say definitely worth seeing. Not what we were expecting, but like enjoyed it. I definitely am glad that we saw it. It was very cool. So definitely A24 though. Very, very heavy A24.
Right,
on brand, definitely on brand. So
they don't mess with their branding, man.
Yeah,
they do not miss.
Yeah,
that's pretty sick. Yeah, I might check it out once it hits like a streaming or something. I wanted to go see it, but then I was just like, there's too much happening in the world, too much stuff, and not enough time.
Yeah. Well, if they were trying to sell like, oh, you have to go see an IMAX or something, you absolutely do not. Like, that would be
right.
A waste of money.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Nice,
man. Nice. Okay. Very nice. All right. Well, that is our show, listeners. Check that out. You can email us at thefortressof@gmail.com. Fortress spelled FOUR. Feel free to email us any feedback, questions, recommendations, or anything like that. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and the YouTube channel at The Fourtress of. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your grandma, tell your cats. Follow the 3 Bollywood R's. Rate, review, recommend us to anyone and everyone you know. Thank you, Jackie, for helping edit the podcast every week. Thank you, Brian, for the art, Alex, for the music, and Devin, thank you for being here. Even when you're not here, you can find Brian on Instagram at ITZ_, by the way. Alex at Peterson Films, and Devin, you can find him. I don't know, playing with a non-stray dog somewhere. A non-stray distracting dog.
Shadow. Shadow.
Next week, listeners, maybe Knuckles, maybe something else. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll be here regardless. Mm-hmm. Something will happen. And as usual, happy holidays, and put a coat on. It's cold out there. Actually not. It's fucking hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
It's
not looking
hot.
To it.
Take that coat off. You will overheat. But all right, listeners, We'll see you here next week on another episode in the Fortress of